How are you? My name is Houston and welcome back to another video. I'm thinking this one might be a little different. I'm not really switching up the main formula, but talking about some different things, which could be cool because you never know what kind of crossover there can be with viewers, with interests, or just, with just things in general. I mean, you kind of get this idea about a person. Like you might have an idea about me, or even like somebody that you've maybe met once, or somebody that you never met. We fabricate ideas about people we never meet all the time. But the idea or the lack of ideas that you might have about a person, like, oh, I didn't expect that from them, or I didn't realize that they also had that interest. I can definitely name a handful of times when I've met somebody and they were just a way better or worse person than I originally thought they were, just from a distance. Like, oh God, that person, they sound like they suck. Maybe I sound like I suck. And then you might meet me and you're like, oh, he's not that bad. Or you might be like, oh, he's not that bad. And then you meet me and you're like, damn, this guy sucks. With that being said, before I get into this mysterious new subject, I'm not really sure what I'm going to play. I was thinking about doing the Prince of Persia, Metroidvania, The Lost Crown. And I was kind of thinking about doing Hades 2 because I don't know, dude. I just don't really want to play Death's Door anymore. It's simple. It's just like, it might be too simple. Okay, I lied. Here we are back on Death's Door. I looked up how long it takes to beat this game and it said 9 hours and I'm at about 5.5. So yeah. Why not? I will say that even if I did quit this game, I don't think that that's a bad thing. And I'm not saying that you should just quit things. I'm saying that it's okay to abandon something like a game that you're not enjoying, or a book. It's really popular with books. Like, people think that they have to really commit to like any book that they're reading. They're like, oh, I started it. I got to commit to it. But it's like, why are you making yourself suffer? Why are you trying to spend all that time engaging with like a piece of media that you're not actually enjoying? Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. I'm not gonna lie, dude. I am kind of losing my mind in this game though. Like I spent the last I don't know, probably like 35 minutes in the last video just looking for the last place to use this key that I have, like the last door. I know where it is, I just don't know how to get to it. Basically, the thing that I wanted to talk about in this video is manga. Anime and manga, I guess, but mostly manga, because I never really talk about that on this channel, but I read a lot of manga. Oh my God, how did I not go to this area before? This is like literally one of the first areas and I never went to it. I spent like 30 extra minutes looking for an area this simple. See, I'm like overthinking it, but this is a baby game. Things are not as complicated as they seem. Okay, anyway, manga. So there are probably 3 main series that I am super excited about right now, and then there's a handful of series that are ongoing, have been around for a while, that might be more obvious to like a casual reader, or just somebody that doesn't really consume a lot of manga themselves. I actually grabbed my iPad here because that's what I do pretty much all my reading on. It's kind of funny. I bought this thing years and years ago because I was using it originally to like do some 3D sculpting on. And when I would go to bars a lot, when I was still drinking, I would go to them alone and I would take my iPad, I'd have a couple beers, and I'd just like sculpt or draw and stuff. But anyway, for the longest time, I never read any manga. But one day, my friend Podgy was like, yeah, I just read on my iPad. And I hadn't touched my iPad in ages. So I'm like, oh, that's a really great idea. Now, thanks to my friend Kennedy, I use this app called Tachiyomi or Tachimanga. I still have a Shonen Jump membership because I want to give these people money. I don't want to read all my stuff through all these like unofficial sites. So certain things on release, like if I can catch it or if I can avoid leaks, I'll read One Piece on Shonen Jump. When JJK was out, I would read JJK there. Chainsaw Man doesn't leak, so I pretty much always read that on Jump. The Tachiyomi app is great because like all of your stuff is just right there. And especially for certain series like Vinland or Berserk or Vinland Saga, by the way. Favorite series of all time. If you don't know that by now, then do you really even know anything about me? I got some of the deluxe versions on the shelf back there behind me, and I got some Berserk deluxe editions. Just that's how those series should be enjoyed. Giant pages, beautiful art, amazing stories. Certain places like I believe like Shueisha and Kodansha, they don't always have their stuff that readily available, which is really kind of shitty. If I have to only buy the physical versions, you know, I only have so much room on my bookshelves. So those two are two that I read, and actually only recently started and caught up on Berserk. I mean, I guess not recently, but you know, within like the past year, I think, yeah, year and a half. Berserk is one of those ones that, you know, everybody kind of knows about and everybody's heard about, and to me it really was like everything and more that everybody said it was. The art is incredible. The story is just like this amazing struggle. And if you've read it, you know what I mean. But it's something that is very hard to put into words because it evokes so much raw emotion. And I do admit that certain things in the story maybe lean a little too far into not like edginess, but they really drill home the points of trauma for the characters and how that trauma can impact the reader. Vinland is again my favorite. I think I've said this before because this is like the main thing that I say about Vinland, but I think that story, and it's not over yet, it's very close though, which makes me sad. Might be a day that I shed a fair amount of tears. But that story, I think, could have a tremendous impact on so many young men, especially young men who are angry and feel like the world has abandoned them, and who feel like they really need to prove something by being a man, whatever that might mean. I think that a lot of young men have this misconception of what it means to be a man these days. I think that a lot of that has been warped by the culture war and just really everything that has to do with like gender roles, for instance. Vinland is one of those series that really just like maybe it found me when I really needed it. It could probably help you no matter what, as long as you're open to the story and as long as you are ready to accept whatever it wants to give you. And that might sound strange because, I mean, dude, come on, it's a manga. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Is it really that deep? Is it really that deep? And to me, yeah, it is. I found a lot of really like grace and patience through that series, and yeah, dude, I really just can't. I mean, I couldn't really be more thankful. Makoto Yukimura crafted one of the just most fantastic things I've ever read in my life. By the way, I will get to those 3 series that I said I was really excited about, but I just want to say a couple more things about these other series that I have been keeping up with. Things like Chainsaw Man, which I think is still an amazing series. I'm going to keep it real. I don't really know what the hell's going on right now in the series. It's kind of like part of the cycle of the way that Fujimoto writes his stories, where it's like, what the fuck's going on? Oh my God, he's a genius. What the fuck's going on? Oh my God, he's a genius. So only time will tell what actually happens with that series. I also totally abandoned my point earlier when I would like brought up my iPad, but you could see here, those are all the series that I'm reading right now in some way. I know that looks like a lot. I'm actually not reading all of them. Let's see. There are 1, 2, 3, 6, 7 that I haven't started yet. So still a fair amount that I am reading. Dude, there's so much out there. It's like, if you have a stack of books on your nightstand, or if you think that like, oh dude, I'm never gonna get through all these books. You're never gonna get through all the manga either. You're never gonna get through all the movies. Don't delude yourself into thinking that you're ever gonna get through all the media, and that's okay. Like, you should totally be fine with that. I think a really important thing to remember with that is that you have the option to experience these things. So if you're busy distracting yourself, thinking about the fact that, oh well, I'm never gonna get through all the rest of these series because I'm reading this one, or like, oh, there's 1100 plus chapters of One Piece. Like, how can I read that? And how can I read Berserk? And how can I read Chainsaw Man? Or what if I really want to read Naruto because I loved watching it, so I want to experience Kishimoto's incredible artwork too? Dude, you can't think about this stuff like that because you're gonna drive yourself nuts. You need to enjoy these things for what they are, as singular entities. Sometimes all it takes is one really good series, one really good piece of media, and that's good enough. And I think it's fantastic to, get into a bunch of different series, but there is something that is so amazing about like really connecting with just one series. Okay, back to it. So we got Berserk, Vinland Saga, Chainsaw Man, and another one that I started recently that seems promising. It's really fun. The artwork is amazing. Is Gokurakugai. It's about like a troubleshooting agency. You got a male and female lead duo. It's really cool. It's fun. It's quirky. It's still developing though. Obviously, like I just brought up, we got One Piece. One Piece has been crazy. Like literally every week is like that gif of the like serial killer dude from that anime where he's like, One Piece is crazy good this week, because that's how it's been lately. It is something else, dude. And you might be like, man, over 1100 chapters and it's still good. Yes, it's still good. Obviously you could read the classics, like you could read Naruto, you could read Tokyo Ghoul, you could read Hunter x Hunter, Togashi's back. And then of course, I'm not caught up on it yet, but Vagabond, man. The third series in what is considered the big three seinen, and Berserk, Vinland, Vagabond. I get it now, dude. The story of Musashi, I think, is going to hit me in a way that is very similar to Thorfinn's and Guts. If that makes me another normie seinen fan, then hey man, I'm better off for it, so I don't mind. I'll be a normie. Okay. I don't think that I'm forgetting anything for the bigger ones, but the four, I did say three originally, but the four series that I'm really excited about right now, two of them are further along than the other two, but the first two, the two that are further along, Dandadan, which recently got its first core of the anime adaptation, and two, Sakamoto Days, which just got its first adaptation on Netflix. And yeah, that's all I'll say. It's pretty disappointing. If you want to be somebody that enjoys it, okay. It's really hard for me to read that series and not be really, I mean, the word is disappointed. It's really hard to not be disappointed in it, because I think that Yuto Suzuki's work is one of a kind. His ability to craft brilliant fight choreography and his creativity with how he makes his characters engage with each other in those fights. So like his creativity of the choreography, and I mean the story's great too. I really like where it's going, but his artwork and his ability to really drive the viewer's attention is something that, and I'm not some manga expert, but I think that I know how to spot good artwork and good direction when I see it. And his is seriously just one of a kind. Sakamoto Days is something else. I mean, if you're one of those people that is liking the anime adaptation, that's cool. Good on you. But if you really, really want to experience that series in its purest and I think correct form, then you should definitely check out the manga. It is really, for lack of better phrasing, like it is fucking incredible. Back to the first one though, Dandadan. Dandadan is another incredible series artistically. the plot is something that I think is very strange for some people, because especially if you've only seen that first core of the anime, you might be like, come on, dude, how is it getting any deeper than that? But I think that that's just a really funny, goofy jumping off point for the series, and it becomes so much more than that. And I'm not saying so much more on like a philosophical level, but it becomes just so entertaining, and it's really such a fantastic cast of characters too. And I think that the art lends to that in a amazing way. We got Yuki Nobutatsu, who is drawing some of the most insane spreads I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that he's doing these, like 1 or 2 of them weekly, it blows my mind, dude. You're like, what kind of like unbelievable output is this? So Sakamoto Days just hit its 200th chapter, and Dandadan is quite far along too. Dandadan just had chapter 182, so they're pretty close, neck and neck there. Cool thing about both those series too is that I don't really see either of them ending really soon, so that's amazing. We get to enjoy them for even longer. Oh my god, just looking at my Shonen Jump app right now, I completely forgot about Boruto. Naruto, I grew up on Naruto, man. I love it, for all of its flaws even. Boruto's great too. I think that Ikimoto has a lot of talent. I think he's got a lot of great ideas, but the story was taken over by Kishimoto. I trust in Kishimoto. I do wish that it was a little bit more frequent than monthly, because it makes it hard to remember everything that's going on sometimes. But yeah, it is interesting. Like, I like where it's going, but I think that I would be even more interested in it if it came out more often. I understand there's criticism about the artwork, and how if you have a whole month and you're doing 40 pages, like, why isn't the artwork better? Blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about a mangaka's schedule or anything like that. So I take each chapter of Boruto as I can get it, because again, it's a series that I enjoy, and I'm just really excited to see where it goes as a huge Naruto fan. So the other 2 series, one that I recently caught up with, it's only like 20 chapters in, Ichi the Witch. Ichi the Witch is so full of character in just 20 pages. The artwork is beautiful. The dialogue is so sincere. It's not that complicated. It knows exactly what it wants to be, and I really appreciate that about it. It's kind of shonen-y, which is something that I definitely lean towards, but it's also a series that is a little bit out of my normal choice. I don't gravitate towards like a lot of like witch type stuff. It's just not really something that I find myself being like super interested in. And again, not saying that stuff is bad. We all have our interests, right? And you don't really choose like, oh, I'm gonna be interested in this now. It's just, yeah, you know what I'm saying, I hope. Regardless of what my preconceived notions are, Ichi the Witch is fucking awesome, and another series that I'm really excited to see how it pans out. So before I say the last one, there is a series whose 2nd chapter just came out. It's called The Martial King, and it's a steampunk western series about a bounty hunter's son. It's written and illustrated by Boichi, and Boichi is the artist of Dr. Stone. Boichi is, like, again, a fucking insane artist. I really enjoyed the pilot chapter for that. Steampunk western, sure, I'm down, man. Let's do it. And then again, Boichi's art is just super sick. So that's one that I'm going to be monitoring closely. Probably going to be reading it week to week or however often it comes out. But now for the finale, my GOAT, something that I have been gunning for, that I have been preaching about, I have been evangelizing from day one. Actually, before day one. I was talking about this manga when the first teaser images started to drop online. Everybody memed the shit out of it. And you know what? Part of those memes, that's kind of what made me be like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to read this. Okay? I don't care how much of a meme it is. That thing is Kagurabachi. I think that Kagurabachi is the series. I think that what Takeru Hokuzono is building with that series is the future of Shonen Jump or of Shonen series. Like when you think of the big three or the new gen big three, so things like Naruto or JJK or Chainsaw Man or, you know, back to the old ones, One Piece, Dragon Ball. And okay, so I will say, I don't think that Kagurabachi is going to change the genre. I don't think that it's like the most groundbreaking thing on the planet. But I think that it has the ability to make people love it on a scale that like people love and loved JJK. JJK was one of those series that even people who I knew didn't watch anime or didn't read manga, like they got into those mediums because of JJK. And I think that Kagurabachi is one of those series that has the power to move the mountains of readers and viewers. It is fucking amazing, dude. From the artwork to the story to the characters. It's so funny to me that everybody memed the picture of Chihiro like pulling his katana out, and that actually turned into a good series. And it's by like a 23-year-old or 24-year-old. Hokuzono is an insane artist. His ability to play with perspective, and honestly, I think that half the shit that he's drawing is him just being like, you know what? I'm just going to prove that I can do this. Like, there was this panel in the last chapter where a character was like, oh, what's going on outside my door? And they peered through the eye hole of a door. And when they peered through it, it showed the character on the other side of the door fighting. But Hokuzono drew them from the view of the eye hole. So it's like a fisheye lens, and it like, there's a bunch of foreshortening. So it like, you know, pulls the foreground in and pushes the background back. Stuff like that I just think is so cool, because you didn't have to do that. What are you doing, man? Like why do you gotta flex like that? You know, it's super cool to see somebody who clearly loves to draw. He loves his series and he just loves having fun with it. And I love that. I think that series is expression in its purest form, artistic expression in its purest form. Again, like I've said about the other series in this video, I'm so hyped to see where it goes because it's special, dude. It's special. You know, another great series that you could go back and read because it's done, but you know, if you watch the anime and you don't want to spoil yourself, then obviously don't do that. But JJK is amazing. I really enjoyed JJK. MHA, Horikoshi, the mangaka of MHA, he was always like pretty good at drawing, but the like level of his work in the last like let's just say 100 chapters, or it's probably a little less than that, but and again, it's always been good. I always enjoyed it, but oh my god, dude, the quality of his drawings in that last like 20% of that series is unreal. You could tell that I obviously really focus on the artwork here. I think that manga for me is such an incredible medium, not just for the stories. I love reading, I love the stories, but I love seeing how these people translate what's in their head onto the page for us. And it's just so amazing how all these people do it in a different way. You know, they might frame just the same exact conversation, they might frame it differently. Or how a character uses a sword might be completely different. It doesn't have to be this deep fissure between them, but it is very recognizable with certain artists, with certain mangaka. And yeah, I really love that. Hey, like I said, bit of a different video this time. I appreciate you listening to me talk about one of my favorite things on this planet. I actually noticed myself being a lot more giddy and less serious than I am, which is, you know, that's actually how I am. I'm not always like, yeah, what did Marcus Aurelius say about Jujutsu Kaisen? What did the Stoics have to say about One Piece? What are the philosophical implications behind Luffy's actions? It's actually a lot. So that's not entirely a joke, but One Piece is probably the most political manga on the planet. At least big manga, popular manga for sure. I've been meaning to make this video for a while because, like I said at the beginning, you never know, man. Like you could literally be interested in anything. Like you can read whatever you want. Don't be ashamed to be like, oh, that's not like that's not like the things that I normally like, or that's not in alignment with my current interests. You know, don't be afraid to be like, oh, all my interests right now are zigs. So this one, that zag interest, no, can't do that. I can't zigzag. I can only zig, no zagging. Don't be afraid to zag. Don't be afraid to like, you know what? I have been curious about that. I have been curious about reading manga. I have been curious about, I don't know, fucking scrapbooking. Maybe, you never know. You could be the next great scrapbooker. Who knows? There are so many beautiful things on this planet to find yourself interested in. Don't be one of those people that bitches and moans all the time about shit, because there's a good chance that if you're that person, you probably don't have enough things that you love in your life. It's really hard to be mad all the time when you have things that you love. And related to that, people in your life that love you back, right? So hey, thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.